here I have a palette, an old palette of paints that I've used. I like to use the 8 trays, but you don't need to use the 8 trays. You can use anything as a palette, and I love all these colors. Generally, what I would normally do is to use a spray bottle like this one, where I can actually just control the amount of water that goes into my paints. And then I would stir it just to make sure that it is all nicely mixed, and never mind if there are bubbles, but generally I will show you that this is the kind of paint that we want to try and achieve. Now how do we know? I'll just put this down for a little while, and I'm going to take a pencil, the back of the pencil, and if you were to pick up the paint, I'm sure you can see this little tiny dot here. So that's the kind of consistency we're achieving, and with this tiny dot you can actually make a small little bumpy, don't press too hard, and deliberately, even on a white background, you can see the little bumpy pimple-like thing on the that I've achieved with my paint. So that is the consistency that we want. And what's important now is also to make sure that if you decide to change the colors, give it a wipe. Do not wash it or do not dip it into water. Just give it a good wipe. Alright, and like so with the stirrer that I did, I would also give it a good wipe just to make sure that paint does not stain the other colors. So generally this is the consistency of the paint that we're trying to achieve, that pimple-like look. So now we move on to tapping the dots. How do we achieve nice little dots? Not to worry if you can't achieve dots. I find that if you use really large round bases, the dots are quite difficult to achieve, and it's also very much dependent on the kind of paint that you use. What you do is you gently tap on the paint, the palette, just gently to get that enough loading of the paint. Alright, it's like for those of us who bake a lot, it's very much like a stiff peak, right? And then you just tap and pull like so. So I'll show you one more time. A gentle tip to dip, right? And then you tap and pull. Again, one more time, gently tap and pull. Tap, tap and pull very gently. So here you can see it's really nice to have a textured outcome for your dots. Now let's see what can I do with this. So what I've created here is really something that is circular. This is the start of our mandala creation. Anything that's round with very consistent designs all around it. So now the next thing I want to do is, so it takes you quite a bit of a trial and error. Sometimes you may want to try this little tip here. That was my initial thought, but I would not, because it would make the dots a little bit too small here. So I'm going to opt for the blunt tip of my toothpick, and I'm going to try different colors. So once again, I will tap, get the little tip there, and I will dot very gently. So if you saw what I did just now with the blue dots, this, to achieve a round circular design, you don't quite need a compass just yet. All you do is you have a center point, you do a 12 o'clock, a 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock and a 9 o'clock. Observe the amount of space that you have there, pick the right tool, and you fill up that little space that you have. And with that, you are actually now beginning to create a very nice mandala design. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to walk the dots. I'm going to go back to this pencil and I'm going to load. Enough paint to load, and I'm just going to tap it also. Get a nice little bump there, and I'm going to wipe this, and then I'm going to use my toothpick, the blunt end of the toothpick, and I'm going to load my paint. And watch this. Not sure if you can see this, but I'm going to tap one big dot, and I'm going to continue without loading. As you move or walk the dot, you are going to decrease the size of the dots. So these look very pretty. One point to note, I load it again. To do it on the other end, I will tap back the first dot that I made just now, and I'm going to move the other way. So that is called walking the dots. These are the two skills I've just taught you today: how to make a circular movement, circular design, and how to walk the dots. So now let's move on to our actual piece, and this can be quite exciting. I've chosen a bookmark piece here to make because I just want to show you how we can bring together the circular designs and walking the dots. And this is really the very basic. So find a midpoint somewhere. You can use the ruler if you want, but I'm just going to do this. My apologies if you hear some background noise because I'm doing this in my patio. I always find it a lot better to do it in a non-air conditioned room because the air conditioners tend to dry up my paint very fast. So I'm just going to pick several sized tools, if you want to call them, and I'm just going to start. So like what I did just now, I'm just going to gently load, and if you can see this, right, the little bump, and I'm just going to gently point down vertically, not press it down hard, do not press it hard, and gently pull. Alright, and don't forget, we wipe it off. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to the same tool, and I'm going to do my clock. 12 o'clock. I load my paint again. 6 o'clock. I load my paint again. 3 o'clock. If you find that the sizes are not so consistent, it's okay. Just go back and tap one more time and bring it to the right size shape. There you go. Alright, so I'll wipe it again, and now I'm going to choose the right tool for the spacing that I see in between. This one may be a wee bit too big, so I'm going to go back to my toothpick, and this time round maybe I'll choose a white. White is really versatile because if you run out of colors, you just keep adding white and you get different shades. And then there you go. Right, and I'm going to wipe my toothpick. And I may continue to use my toothpick again, now with a different color. Let's try the light green. So the designs are really up to you. You can choose wherever you want to put the dots and which colors you want to add in. I always find that the colors from the same family is much easier to work with, but really it's up to you. So now our mandala is actually slowly getting bigger, and then now to think what else can I do? Maybe something a wee bit bigger now, right? And I may go back now to white again. So just allow yourself to create whatever you want to do. And we can move on now. I'll just add maybe a purple. I'll just start. The key is really to find a pattern or a mirror image, if you would like to call it, and just to fill up little gaps that you see that are very consistent. There is no rule to how you would add the colors or where you would start to put the dots. It's really up to you, right? And then I'm deliberately going to leave these gaps empty because I'm going to show you something later. And let's try go back to maybe a light green. And I find this one really quite good because they actually make slightly broader. So now I'm going to have a slightly bigger dot here, and I'm going to walk just alright, and I can go back to that same dot again without loading, and I'm just going to take one step. So this is just taking a very short walk, if you like to call it. And then, what else can we do here? Now I have the back of my, maybe I'll use like this pencil here, and I'm just going to add maybe a big dot here, right? Make sure you have enough loading of the paint, right, to make a nice dot. There you go, a nice loading of the paint. Sometimes you can see that the paint's a bit rough. They're not going to give you a very nice dot, so I would just go back and dip it again, pull the paint up. You pull it up so you get a nice dot there, and when you tap here gently, pull it up so you get a nice dot. And then I'm going to now really walk the dots because I've got a very big dot there. I'm just going to show you how this is clearly done. Right, so I'm going to and walk 3, 4, 5. I wouldn't. This one I have to load it again. All right, tap back to the first dot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're new to this, it's okay if you lose count because no one's not going to notice. And if you look at this, I think I may have lost count with the yellow dots, but when you walk the dots, they are very pretty. And if you do lose count and you find a little gap, like I see one little gap here now, I'm just going to tap a wee bit small one there just to fill in the gap. If you do find little holes, gaps where you have so many such a wide big gap and you don't like it, all you have to do really is fill it in with tiny little dots any way you want. There are no hard and fast rules. It's just you having to see what you like and what is there that you can you would like to add to. So the key is really don't leave the gaps a bit too big, because if you leave it too big, then it becomes a bit too obvious. and it's not so pretty. Okay, so that's about it. There are no hard and fast rules. So this one is kind of like I find it a little bit too squarish, so I'm going to add a little bit more just to make it a bit more circular, and then I will. So I just decided I'm going to use this green. The thin toothpick. Let's try this together. I'm going to use the very thin sharp end of it, and I'm going to walk the dots. Go back to the first dot. If you still find it that it's not so round, well, I'm just going to make it a little bit more round, and I'm going to just walk more dots. Alright, and if you notice, even here there seems to be a little bit of a missing dot there, so I'm just going to go back so you can really kind of like repair and have a look at what you can touch up on. There are no hard and fast rules for all this. Right, so this is the first mandala piece done on a bookmark, and you see it can be done in such a very short time. Lesson 3 tomorrow, we will be doing a little bit of a mandala on something that we're going to paint. So I'm going to teach you a very simple painting skills as well. So get ready your brushes.